Good to see you again. We are back out of here for this Tuesday. It is the 29th day of June, 2021. I'm Dan Kuntz. Good to see you. Let's get right to the temperature. It is 81 outside of our studios. That's exactly where we were yesterday at this time. For the record, we're a little shy of what the National Weather Service was predicting. They were saying we're going to get yesterday to about 113. We got up to 108, which was plenty warm for everybody. But believe it or not, we didn't set a record. Our record high, 109, was set on June 28th, 2015. That was the day that the Sleepy Hollow fire broke out. We all remember that. Today's record high of 102. We're going to blow by that by noon at the latest, and then we're on our way to what could be the hottest day in recorded history for the Wenatchee Valley, and not just the Wenatchee Valley, for almost everybody. We've had this day circled on our calendar for about the last 5 days. When the National Weather Service said we're going to have this massive dome of high pressure. It's going to be settled right where British Columbia, Idaho, and Washington State meet, and that's exactly where it's at today. And so, yikes, hot. If you don't have to be outside, just don't. And if you do, go now before the heat really comes. We're going to gradually see the temperatures go down, but I mean very gradually, like almost incrementally. In fact, a couple of things we need to touch on right now. First of all, new highs yesterday. Ephrata hit 113 and Omak hit 110. That was new high temperatures for June 28th for those two facilities. By now, Ephrata is already at 89 degrees, so they're 8 degrees warmer than we are. Ephrata, get ready to be cooking. Everybody's just going to just be hot, just excessively. Monday the 5th, next week will probably be the first day with our high below 100 since last Friday. So that would be 9 days in a row of our high temperature being at least 100 degrees or hotter. That has never happened before since they started keeping track of records. This is historic. It's a heat wave. And I hate to tell you this, but they've extended the excessive heat warning again. We'll get to that when we get to the weather forecast. Some news to get to. Some of it heat-related, as you might imagine. The power grid that the Chelan County PUD is in charge of seems to be holding up okay in this oppressive heat. We'll also talk about some of the cooling centers that have been opened up. Sports, we're talking AppleSox baseball. They're playing baseball tonight. They moved the first pitch later in the day. It'll be at 7:35 instead of 6:35. It might be a little bit cooler, but the Portland Pickles were in town. Joel Norman was my guest. He came in yesterday. We do this once a week to talk AppleSox baseball because I love baseball and I love the AppleSox. We'll have Joel Norman both in sports and in the interview section of this program in the back half of the hour. And yesterday, if you watched, I teased you a little bit. I was going to give away tickets today to see from the RLS concerts on the campus the Infinity Project. That's a Journey tribute band who are supposed to play this Thursday, day after tomorrow, July 1st. They have postponed that until July 29th, and for a very simple reason. It's just too dang hot. It's just too hot to go out in the late afternoon, early evening hours to do a concert. So they pushed that to July 29th. So I'm not going to give away the tickets today. I'll do it later on next month. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, our housekeeping, let's go ahead and take our tour around north central Washington with our Valley View cameras. Megan pushes the buttons, and I take a look at what we're dealing with, and what we're dealing with is not a cloud to be had. Kind of hazy sunshine. Of course, the intense June sun normally makes us pretty warm, so this is it. This is going to be the warmest day of this incredible heat wave, and we have an excellent chance of breaking our all-time record high of 110 set back 80 years ago. It's almost certainly going to happen. Good morning to the Valley. Camera number 2. Let's see what's happening there. Oh, boy, let me think here. Is that the monitor camera? That's the monitor camera, but she has it pointed back at the Wenatchee Valley. That's pretty cool. I like that, Megan. So the upper right-hand corner is Wenatchee Heights. Clocken Ridge is in the center of your screen, way off in the background. You can see the Sleepy Hollow area and the orchards in around between Wenatchee and Monitor. That's a cool view of the Wenatchee River. So that's our monitor camera, high atop that Monitor Ridge, pointed right back at the Wenatchee Valley. Sunny Slope would be to your left. It's just slightly out of your view. That is beautiful. Good stuff there. I can't wait to see what camera 3 looks like. Well, it's off to Lake Chelan from, I want to say, Bear Mountain, the Bear Mountain Camera. Not exactly located at the golf course, but it's in the general vicinity. That's why we gave it its name. That's Wapato Point, of course, you see to your right. Lake Chelan, with this incredibly hot temperatures, have been hopping as well. It's also vacation time for a lot of folks who would go to Lake Chelan, whether it was 85 degrees outside or 110 degrees outside. And finally, camera number 4. Gorgeous view, I want to say, from the Waterville camera. I get confirmation from Megan. That is the Waterville camera. Earthquake Point jumps right out at you, just past Aniad there, that large slab of continuous rock falls. We were playing golf at Desert Canyon maybe 15 years ago, and a big rock slide came down right at that point. It went all the way across the road, all the way across the railroad tracks and into the river. And it was weird because of how the sound waves work. We saw the slide before we heard it. We saw the slide, and then about 15 seconds later, we heard it as the sound wave traveled across, then up the ridge to the Desert Canyon golf course. It still looks a little, whenever I drive by there, I always think, okay, no earthquakes. Aniat is to your left. Beautiful view from our Waterville camera, looking down over, just past Lake Aniat on this warm Tuesday morning. Okay, first of all, the excessive heat warning, they extended it. Now, when they first issued this late last week, they issued it through Wednesday of this week. Then they changed it to Thursday, and then today they changed it all the way till Sunday evening, Independence Day. So they've extended the heat warning until 7 o'clock on Sunday, July 4th. So yes, we're going to cool down, but it's going to be so gradual, it's going to be almost imperceptible to a lot of people. Again, just use common sense. Don't leave your pets or your kids in the cars are going to be incredibly hot if you have to park outside without a garage or a carport. Lots of water, get in the shade. Just don't go outside. That's just common sense rules there. And this is heat wave day 4 of 10 was yesterday, Monday, June 24th. Those were your highs. As I mentioned, Ephrata set a new record at 113. Omat got to 112. That was a new record for them. Here in Wenatchee, 108, which was cooler than they were anticipating. They were predicting 113 for the valley, so they missed it by 5 degrees there. Everybody else plenty hot. Moses Lake 112. This is all from yesterday, day 4 of the heat wave. This is day 4 of 10. So we're not quite halfway there yet. As I mentioned before, Monday, July 5th will probably be the first day with a high below 100 since Friday. So we're going to have at least 9 days in a row with our high temperature above 100. That has never happened before. Okay, from the National Weather Service, here you go. I don't even know what to tell you. I don't think we're going to get to 117. I think that's a bit of an overshoot. I do, simply because they were 5 degrees off yesterday. So my gut tells me to take it down to about 113. That's my trick knee telling me. Either way, 117, 113, that would be our all-time record high since they've been keeping track of these things. Look at the overnight low tonight, 82. That's our normal high temperature is going to be our overnight low temperature. No escape in the warmth in the evening hours. We gradually start cooling down. It'll be subsiding, but very, very little at a time, to 115, to 106, to 106, to 105, to 103, to 101. Almost all of these, with the exception of Sunday, July 4th, and Monday, July 5th, would be record breakers. Going to be hot, hot, hot anywhere you go, and it's just going to continue. So this is an historic heat wave, as the National Weather Service is calling it, because of this extremely strong ridge of high pressure, which is going to be at its peak today, then gradually, and I mean very gradually, move to the east. So Montana, you've been warned. It's coming your way. I never thought I'd be looking at temperatures like that doing the forecast. Hot. 9 minutes after the hour, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got your Tuesday morning news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Building. It's in our blood. Building something out of nothing. It takes heart, grit, and hard work. At One Way Construction, our crew is our family. With decades of contracting experience and our in-house design team, we bring a unique perspective to building. We know that if we work together, we are capable of reaching heights that are impossible to reach alone. The possibilities are endless.
Lake Chelan Mailboxes is a small place with a lot to offer. Job one is shipping and receiving from A to Z. They pack it, they label it, they ship it. But did you know we also offer notary service, online computer access, legal forms, copies, greeting cards, and of course mailboxes, even passport photos. Chelan Mailboxes, everything you need in one small package.
11 minutes after the hour, sunshine, 82 degrees outside of our studios. We're going to break some records today. Not only the record high temperature for June 29th, but the all-time record high temperature will fall before this day is over. Here are your headlines. With the record high heat now firmly in place, the Chelan Douglas Health District, they've identified cooling centers throughout north central Washington, including Wenatchee and East Wenatchee. Starting on Saturday, the Town Toyota Center has been open 24 hours a day for people needing a place to escape the extreme heat. In addition, all branches of the NCW Library District have been identified as cooling centers, so you can cool off in Wenatchee, East Wenatchee, and Cashmere, and Chelan, and Entiat at your local branch of the library. The Chelan County PUD is expecting record summer demands for local power this week as days of 100-plus degree temperatures drag on, but PUD officials say they're in good position to handle it. In fact, even though air conditioners are humming just about 24 hours a day, the power being consumed doesn't rival the demand that the PUD sees on the coldest days of winter. PUD Public Information Officer Rachel Hansen said the highest ever demand for power in the past 5 years was 491 megawatts. That was on January 5th, 2017, when the low temperature dipped to 2 degrees below zero. By comparison, the record for a summer day was 253 megawatts. That was on July 30th of last summer when temperatures reached 107 degrees. The PUD estimated power peaked at 277 megawatts on Monday. That's expected to jump to 283 megawatts today, then down to 275 megawatts on Wednesday. Because of the extreme fire danger and scorching temperatures, all the trails in the Dry Gulch Preserve in the Wenatchee foothills have been closed. The privately owned preserve is comprised of 685 acres adjacent to the Saddle Rock Trail system. The Dry Gulch Board said they are aiming to reopen the trails by Sunday for the holiday if possible. Currently, the concern is human-caused fires on the dry hillsides. Cherry grower Kyle Matheson says he's withdrawn his lawsuit, alleging that Chelan County unlawfully interfered with his development of 250 acres of orchard land. Matheson's company, Wheeler Ridge LLC, sued the county and its Natural Resources Director Mike Caputa last year, seeking $16 million in damages. The organic cherry operation lies within the Stimmel Basin, where the county spent years negotiating to preserve land for forest management, recreation, and elk habitat. Matheson said the county unnecessarily held up his development permits for environmental review, but he was granted the first of his permits earlier this year, and he plans to set aside 360 acres as a conservation area. A Cenex supply building and several vehicles were destroyed Saturday night in a fire. This happened about 8 miles east of Royal City. Royal Slope firefighters arrived at about 9 p.m. to find the building and Royal Camp fully involved. The Grant County Sheriff's Office said firefighters had to assume defensive positions to prevent the fire from spreading further. There were no injuries. The cause of the fire is being investigated by the Grant County Fire Marshal. Among many other things, the extreme heat has made it more dangerous for you drivers out there in areas where wildfire crosses the roadway. The Washington State Patrol said wildlife are moving more in the early morning hours before the extreme heat sets in. On Saturday morning alone, the State Patrol said there were 4 separate vehicle-wildlife collisions in District 6, and that included that collision, a Chevrolet Cruze that had its front end caved in after hitting a deer on I-90 near Vantage. A Chelan man must serve 3 years in prison after pleading guilty to child molestation and rape. 22-year-old Severo Rodriguez Diaz has already served a year of his sentence in the Chelan County Jail while awaiting trial. In early 2020, a 13-year-old victim disclosed that Rodriguez offered her alcohol and sexually assaulted her at his home. He pleaded last week to counts of third-degree rape and second-degree child molestation. Rodriguez has no prior criminal record. After serving his time, he must register as a sex offender. And finally, the Wells House On the campus of Wenatchee Valley College is an architectural gem that's now accessible to the public. The Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center produced a video earlier this month celebrating the historic home and its unique place in Wenatchee's history.
Hi, I'm Terry, and this is Jean, and we'd like to welcome you to Wells House, located on the Wenatchee Valley campus.
This home is called the Wells House, and Mr. and Mrs. Wells did live here for many years, but it was built by W.T. Clark and his wife Adelaide for their family of 5 children. The architect was C.C. Cross, who was well known in California and a friend of the Clarks. Mrs. Clark helped with designing stained glass windows and worked closely with Mr. Cross as he designed the house from California.
Wells House is a 10-room house, not counting the halls, the baths, the sleeping porches, and basement storage rooms. The house is an imposing structure and once was the most elegant house in Wenatchee. This masterful piece of architecture is a combination of 3 similar but contrasting architectural styles. The cross-gabled house is craftsman in its basic form and first floor structure. Second floor has the basic timber framing of a Tudor style. Walls of the basement and first story are made of native hand-squared rock over a foot in thickness, which came from the banks of the Columbia River.
A large tower to the right of the house, also made of native rock, extends from ground level to the overall height of the house. It is similar in style to the Tower of London, and no other structure of this design exists in the Wenatchee Valley. The families living here called the 2 rooms in the tower turret rooms. One is a part of the living room, and one is off the master bedroom. After 112 years, the Wells House still stands proud and beautiful. Come visit and marvel at the construction of such an historic treasure. As always, if you have any photos or stories about Wells House, call the museum. We are always eager to hear more about this wonderful piece of Wenatchee history.
And that's your news at 18 minutes after the hour on this Tuesday. We will have a newscast for you tonight, because we always do on weeknights, except the occasional holiday. That reminds me, we won't be here on Monday, July 5th. That is our holiday, since Independence Day itself falls on Sunday this year. In any event, with a preview of some of the stories we're working on, here's the anchor, Grant Olson.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, our unprecedented historic heat wave continues today with possibly the hottest temperature ever recorded for many north central Washington locations. I'll have all the details in your complete local weather forecast. And in sports, the Mariners were off yesterday as they prepare to take on the Blue Jays this afternoon. Eric Granstrom will have more on that, as well as the AppleSox results. That and all the day's news stories coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Thank you, Grant. Don't forget, we'd love to hear from you, our viewers. You can chime in with a news tip or just drop us a note and say hi. You can use our website, ncwlife.com. There's a Contact Us icon right on our homepage. You can't miss it. You can email us directly, news@ncwlife.com, news@ncwlife.com. That's our email address. Or you can go to our Facebook page and drop us a note with Facebook Messenger. Going to take a break. When we come back, lots of baseball to talk about, both AppleSox and Mariners. Of course, they didn't play yesterday, but they're playing today. We'll have the obscure holiday, Today in History, a very interesting Today in History. Some celebrity birthdays and opinion from Mike Mad Dog Magnotti. I'm in conversation with Joel Norman, the voice of the AppleSox, as we preview this week's games against Portland and Ridgefield. It's all coming up. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Kids are resilient. I just love their energy. They bounce back so quickly. I love the stories they tell. I love just their charisma, their character. I love to see that subtle smile that you pull out of a kid, you know, when you start talking with them about something they really like. I just love what I do, and I can't imagine I would be as happy doing anything else.
We're back at 21 minutes after the hour. The Wenatchee AppleSox have their first player to be recognized by the West Coast League as a top performer since July of 2019. Congratulations to Hunter Salinas, a sophomore to be at Colorado State Pueblo. He was named the West Coast League's Pitcher of the Week for his work against Kuntz last Thursday. He's the first AppleSox to be honored by the league since Ryan Altenberger 2 years ago. The radio voice of the AppleSox, Joel Norman, says the recognition for Salinas is well worth it.
He currently has an ERA, I think it's at 0.56. I know it's under 1, and it's something ridiculous because the guy's tossed 4 outings now, 2 of them starts, in which he hasn't allowed any runs. So that's 11 innings just from his starts. And he's earning it this week because on this past Thursday, he went 6 scoreless against Kuntz and really helped us get that series win. And then you kind of look for that. This is a team that's not going to be led by starting pitching because Coach Sanderson has them all at a pitch count. He wants them right around 75. Salinas threw up a season-high 76 pitches in 6 innings. So kind of just what the doctor ordered right there, but it was really nice to have that to set the table for the bullpen and get the win.
The West Coast League's Moss Adams Player of the Week was also announced Monday by Commissioner Rob Nyer, and it's Yakima Valley Pippins infielder Chaz Myers. The Pacific University sophomore went 11 for 21 with 6 doubles in 5 games for Yakima Valley last week. The AppleSox, by the way, are preparing to start a 5-game homestand after going 2-4 on their recent road trip with temperatures in the triple digits. And that hot temperature is expected to last right into the weekend. Joel Norman tells me that they're taking all of that into consideration when it comes to player preparations.
You know, this means we're not going to be having as long of a batting practice, so to speak. We're not going to be going out there working on defensive drills at 3 in the afternoon, the worst time of the day. I think he's just very cognizant of that. The nice thing in Corvallis was they had cages that were indoor or were covered, and then on Saturday and Sunday, players were hitting over there instead of on the field, just because you've got to save your energy, especially when you're playing a 6:35 game on Saturday, and then Sunday starts at 10:05 a.m. So I think Coach Sanderson did a really nice job conserving their energy, and I'm expecting that a little bit this week as well. It's kind of going to be shorter batting practices overall, less time on the field, just keeping everyone cool, because while there's probably a lot of things he wants to work on, we have to make sure these guys are good to go, because it's a marathon. It's a marathon, not a sprint with a baseball game. You've got to be there for 9 innings, not just a few of those innings. And even if we scored 10 runs early on, in a week like this, when the weather's going to be like this, that might not be enough, because the fatigue might really be a factor later on.
The AppleSox will host Portland tonight, the first of 3 games. Of course, the mercury is expected to top off at about 116 degrees this afternoon. So Norman says Coach Ian Sanderson is taking all the necessary precautions.
Coach Sanderson talked about that with me this past weekend. He said, with the heat, we've got to be smart. You know, maybe that means pulling a starter an inning before I'd like to, just because I can tell his energy isn't there for another inning. Maybe that's using 1 or 2 more relievers. The bright side is there's 3 games coming up in league play here, Tuesday through Thursday against Portland, all at 7:35. Then you play 2 non-league games. You can kind of relax a little bit since those games don't matter. You can get guys who maybe haven't had a ton of opportunities, more reps then. So in a lot of ways, especially with the off day today, or as we speak on Monday, a lot of time to prepare and have a full bullpen, full pitching staff, and get everyone the rest they need. Maybe, you know, someone's had 4 at-bats for the first 5 innings because the AppleSox have scored 8 runs to that point. Maybe you pinch run for him in the 4th. It's little stuff like that, and I think Sanderson's going to do a really good job keeping an eye on each player and knowing, you know, okay, he looks like he's lagging a little bit. I'm going to get him out of here.
My entire conversation with Joel Norman will air, of course, in the back half of this morning's Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. All right, there was just 1 game on the schedule in the West Coast League last night. Corvallis brought 9 men to the plate in a 6-run first inning, and then they hung on to beat the Portland Gherkins 9-8. Washington State's Kyler Stankaito was the hitting star for the Knights. He went 2 for 5 with 2 runs and an RBI. There have been a couple of changes as we look at the West Coast schedule for tonight. First, of course, the AppleSox games with Portland over the next 3 days, and Highline over the weekend have been moved an hour later because of the heat. They'll get going at 7:35. Ben's game tonight against Corvallis has also been moved to a later start time. The rest begin at 6:35 tonight. Bellingham's at Ridgefield. Yakima Valley will host Port Angeles, and Cowlitz will visit Walla Walla. Mariners are in Buffalo today to begin a 3-game series with Toronto. Of course, COVID-19 restrictions being tighter in Canada has forced the Blue Jays to play all of their home games at Salem Field in Buffalo, which is home with their AAA affiliate, the Bisons. Seattle will send Chris Flexen to the mound, who is 6-3 with a 3.87 ERA. He'll go up against the Blue Jays' Robbie Ray, who is 5-3 with a 3.35 ERA. First pitch, 4:07 this afternoon, and you can watch the game on Root Sports. You can call him Showtime, or you can call him Showstopper, but you better call Shohei Ohtani an MVP candidate for the Los Angeles Angels. He hit his 26th homer last night against my Yankees.
Ohtani crushes one deep right field. Goodbye!
He is truly a showstopper. Curveball down and in. And look how he lifts it. Ohtani. Yeah, you have to look at that one, Shohei. You have to. You have to admire it.
Of course, he had to show a highlight against my Yankees, who lost to the Angels 5-3. In Houston, Austin Hayes' 2-run home run highlighted the 5-run ninth inning for Baltimore. Orioles beat the Astros 9-7, so the Astros' lead in the West is now a game and a half over Oakland, 7 over the Mariners. And those were just some of the games that people are playing on this Tuesday, the 29th day of June, the obscure holiday of the day today, National Camera Day. We're going to celebrate the camera and the pictures that cameras produce. I'm going to tell you why I put that picture up in just a minute. But first, some fun facts about cameras, not necessarily pictures. The first digital camera, which is now everywhere. I mean, your phone is a digital camera, but specific cameras to take photographs and do nothing else in the digital format came out in 1975. They weighed about 8 pounds, and they were very expensive. But boy, as digital cameras changed photography, now you can be a complete, photography idiot and still take great pictures, because not only of digital hardware, but digital software to clean it up. It is believed that over 1 trillion photographs are taken every year. Nobody really knows, but it's a fairly educated guess. That's a lot of photographs. The first camera flashes were made from potassium chloride and aluminum. Not necessarily safe, I might add. The first autofocus camera was invented by Polaroid in 1979 and was one of those instant camera things. You remember those? You take the picture and it comes out, and then you let it develop itself. Those were pretty cool. When Apollo 11 took off from the moon to return to Earth, they left all their cameras behind. They took 12 Hasselblad cameras with them, but they left all the cameras up on the moon. They're still up on the moon. Of course, the moon has no atmosphere, so they're just sitting there. But they had all of these moon rocks and other samples, and they decided, well, we got to get rid of something so we have enough, we don't weigh too much, and we can take off from the moon and get back to our ship to go home. So they just left the cameras there. They were smart enough to take the film. Oh, that was a smart move. Why am I showing you that picture? You want to guess? That is the most viewed photograph in history. The default wallpaper for Windows XP is the most viewed photograph ever in the history of the world. It's called Bliss. It was taken by a gentleman named Charles O'Rear in 1996 with a digital camera. You would think Charles O'Rear would make a lot of money off of this. He didn't. Charles O'Rear sold the image to Corbis, which is an online company that sells and leases out stock footage. And then Microsoft bought the picture from Corbis, so he didn't get as much money as he could have. Hello, Bill Gates. I got a photo you might like. That is the most viewed photograph in the history of the world, the default wallpaper for Windows XP. There's a few computers around the broadcast metroplex that still has that up on their wallpaper. It's not too hard to change, as my producer knows. It's very easy to change one's wallpaper when your computer isn't locked. Today in history, happy birthday to that. The Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956 is signed into law by President Dwight David Eisenhower, the United States Interstate Highway System. It is officially called the Dwight D. Eisenhower National System of Interstate and Defense Highways. And it was inspired by Dwight Eisenhower himself. Towards the tail end of World War II, when he was in Germany, he was very impressed with all the big, wide, high-speed roads he saw all over Germany, at least the roads that weren't bombed into oblivion, and he said, we need to do this. And he pushed it, and he pushed it hard. It took 17 years to figure it out, but they finally did, and now we have the Interstate highway system. It is big. It is 48,000 miles of highways out there. Every state owns its own portion of the interstate highway system, so each state is responsible for enforcing traffic laws and maintaining the section of the highway within its borders. The longest continuous stretch of the interstate highway system is I-90 from Seattle to Boston, or Boston to Seattle, if you will. It's 3,085.3 miles. The shortest section of the interstate highway system is only 17.5 miles. It goes from Annapolis, Maryland to Baltimore, Maryland. It's I-97. And what city is the largest city in America that is not served by the interstate highway system? It's in South Central California. It is Fresno. Fresno, with a population of 527,438, is the largest city in America that is not serviced by the interstate highway system. Born in the state 65 years ago today. Well, they signed the deal. They're still building it, and they'll never stop building it, I suppose. A rock and roll goddess was invented on this date in a steaming hot day at the Norman Petty Recording Studios in Clovis, New Mexico. Buddy Holly and the Crickets recorded Peggy Sue. The song was about, well, it was about Jerry Allison's girlfriend. The song was originally called Cindy Lou. Jerry Allison, the drummer, was dating a girl named Peggy Sue. So before they recorded it, they changed it from Cindy Lou to Peggy Sue. And Rock and Roll Goddess was born 64 years ago today, one of the all-time classics. 49 years ago today, the Supreme Court of the United States of America on June 29, 1972, in the case of Furman v. Georgia, ruled that the death penalty, as it was there applied at that time in 1972, was unconstitutional, that it violated both the 8th and 14th Amendments because it was arbitrary and inconsistent. And so a whole bunch of states got together and said, what do we do? And so they read the ruling in Furman v. Georgia, and they started changing all the death penalty rules and regulations and laws, and eventually in Gregg v. Georgia, 4 years later, the court overturned Furman v. Georgia, and the death penalty was back in the United States, but it disappeared for 4 years. And by the way, Furman v. Georgia, at over 50,000 words and 243 pages, remains to this day the longest decision in the history of the Supreme Court. It stirred up a lot of passions, as you might imagine. Everybody's talking about what's going on down in Miami Beach with that incredible collapse of that condominium complex. Has nothing on what happened in Seoul, South Korea, in the Sisho district in Seoul. The Sampoong department store collapsed. 501 were killed, 937 were injured. It was built poorly from the very beginning. They cut out support columns to put in escalators and elevators that they shouldn't have done. They put all the heavy air conditioning units on the roof without supporting it. It was simply a matter of time, and it came crashing down. Can you imagine that? 501 people lost their lives in the course of about 15 seconds in South Korea in 1995. Happy birthday to the iPhone. June 29th, 2007, 14 years ago today, Apple releases the very first mobile phone, its very first mobile phone, I should say, the iPhone. Here's mine. It's an indispensable tool. Over 1 billion iPhones have been sold worldwide. It is unquestionably the most popular mobile phone ever, the iPhone. Came out 14 years ago today. And finally, this is a photo of Humphrey the Hawk. It's about the only thing I could find to talk about what happened on June 29th, 1989 in Boise, Idaho. There's Humphrey the Hawk. He is the mascot of the Boise Hawks. And the manager of the Boise Hawks on this date in 1989, 32 years ago today, the manager was Mal Fishman, and he was ejected from the game. The Boise Hawks manager was Mal Fishman. He was ejected during an 8-4 loss to Salem. The problem for Mal is that 2 coaches were sick, another coach was at a wedding, and he basically had no coaches. He had nobody to run the team. So what did Mal Fishman do? He went back into the dugout with Humphrey the Hawk and got into the costume and went back out disguised as Humphrey the Hawk to coach his team. He got caught. He was suspended. Now that's using your old noggin. I got thrown out of the game. I'll get into the mascot's outfit and come back out and coach my team. Didn't work, but that's baseball. 36 minutes after the hour, birthday. Speaking of baseball in Boston, his name is still not spoken out loud. His name was Harry Frazee. Born in the state in 1881. He was a producer and a director and a theatrical agent. That's what he really wanted to do. He also, by the way, owned the Boston Red Sox. He bought the Boston Red Sox in 1918, sold them in 1923, Harry Frazee. And while he was the owner of the Boston Red Sox, he either traded or sold outright to the New York Yankees the following players: Bullet Joe Bush, Joe Dugan, Harvey Hendrick, Waite Hoyt, Sad, Sam Jones, Carl Mays, Herb Pennock, George Pipgrass, Everett Scott, and George Herman Babe Ruth. Thanks, Harry. We appreciate it. Harry Frazee died in 1929 at the age of 48. I met this guy when he was in town filming Surviving the Game back in 1993. Gary Busey is nuts. Blah. He's nuts. By the way, Surviving the Game is not a very good movie. But he was phenomenal as Buddy Holly, the title character of the Buddy Holly story. Back in 1978, he got an Academy Award nomination for that. Happy birthday to Gary Busey. He's 77 years old today. Somebody should tell him. And happy birthday to Gopher. Fred Grandy played Gopher on The Love Boat. And of course, he would later become a member of Congress, a Republican from Iowa, for a few terms. He's 73 years old today. Gary Busey, yeah, he came into my record store and I was like, it's nice to meet a celebrity. Gary. 38 minutes after the hour, going to take a break. When we come back, an opinion from Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and we're talking AppleSox baseball with Joel Norman. When we come back, you're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
This is Kelly, owner of the Original Children's Shop in downtown Wenatchee. We strive to bring you the most quality, fashionable, and fun clothing for your little ones, along with gifts, toys, and accessories. I look forward to meeting you soon at the Original Children's Shop.
Contractors, furniture makers, and weekend do-it-yourselfers around north central Washington will tell you that Lombard's Hardwood Supply is the place to get what you need. Lombard's full millwork shop can handle jobs large or small. Lombard's has a full line of interior and exterior doors available, as well as custom barn doors. From alderwood to zebrawood and everything in between, it's Lombard's Hardwood Supply on School Street in Sunny Slope. Like us on Facebook and check out our monthly special.
I'm John Divis from Wenatchee Dental Arts, and I like to think myself as a comprehensive dentist. We are an office that treats people comprehensively for their dental problems. We do a lot of general dentistry in a broad sense. We don't send everything out. Things that we have the ability to do in the office, we like to keep in the office and under one roof and keep things as complication-free as possible. Can come to one place and have all their dental needs taken care of.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, I sometimes see on Facebook posts about pictures of police officers in full SWAT gear and the like, stating that these officers are heroes, men and women of courage, and they are. Hey, no doubt, believe me. But a lot of that, if I may say so, is just sometimes macho posing. Not in any way to show disrespect to those involved in the aggressive and potentially violent side of police work, but this is another side of police heroism. Those cops who deal with wounded victims, very often children. Wounds that are not physical, but instead emotional and psychological. It's these interactions with the most vulnerable members of our society which caused cop-turned-author Joseph Wumbaugh to say that it's the emotional and psychological stressors of these kind of contacts that make police work the world's most dangerous profession. Now, this is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and that's my opinion.
Crystal's Restaurant and Lounge in Leavenworth has a warm environment to enhance your dining experience. serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Crystal's Intimate Lounge is a wonderful place to relax and dine with beautiful views of the mountains. Do you have a special occasion coming up? Call Crystal's to reserve their event space. Whether your event is grand, intimate, or casual, Crystal's provides unforgettable food and superb service. Crystal's Restaurant and Lounge, proud to be serving fabulous food and drinks.
The 2021 Grant County Fair is happening August 17th through the 21st in Moses Lake. Check out the biggest ag-based fair in Washington State as kids show hundreds of animals. Or check out some of the more famous cuisine, such as Space Burgers or Block 40 ice cream. Friday night features country sensation Parmalee on the Brian Miller stage. Saturday, check out Grupo Control. Lots of music, food, animals, and of course, a huge carnival. Head to the website at gcfairgrounds.com.
Today, we're doing some employee development with our technicians.
Today, we're going to learn how to give our home a hug.
It's not just a motto, but a unique way that Patriot technicians care for your home.
Oh, no, come on. You really got to get in there and get your arms around it, give it a good embrace. All right, hey, good job.
I think the training is going really well.
Heating and cooling will give your home a hug.
JDSA Law is a proud sponsor of these local sports broadcasts. They've been serving North Central and Eastern Washington since 1946. For over 70 years, their team of dedicated professionals has delivered quality, innovative legal services. JDSA Law partners with you to provide the finest legal advice and support as you navigate your personal and business challenges, risks, and accomplishments. At JDSA Law, they salute our local athletes and wish them well on another excellent season of competition. Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Once a week we check in with our friends at the Wenatchee AppleSox. Normally we tape these on location at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium on the campus of Wenatchee Valley College, but who's getting who? It's hot. So Joel has agreed to come into the air-conditioned confines of Studio 7 here in downtown Wenatchee as the voice of the AppleSox, Joel Norman, with our This Week in AppleSox Baseball. First of all, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
You made it back from Longview and then Corvallis fairly unscathed. You did. The team didn't.
Yeah.
2 and 4 on the road trip.
Yeah, it was tough, the games in Corvallis. I think we could have had a game or two potentially there, but the ball just didn't bounce our way very often. And I think I liked the AppleSox effort a lot on Sunday. If that's a game you're watching, you're saying there's about 4 or 5 balls that should have been hits or shouldn't have been hits going both ways. So, and that's what happens. And it's a one-run ball game, so it really stands out a little bit more, but took care of business in Longview against the Black Bears. Nice taking 2 of 3. It's hard to sweep on the road, so I was really happy with the series victory. You know, we would have loved to have tried to steal at least one from Corvallis, and like I said, I think we were in position to, but I think that just gives this team maybe a little bit more to try and build on as they come back home this week.
Corvallis, of course, has been the class of the league for the last 3, 4, 5 years. They've taken the league by storm and have I wouldn't say dominated, but pretty close to dominated. So playing Corvallis even competitively is a moral victory, if there is such a thing.
In a way, you know, to beat the best teams, though, you know, if you want them to stop winning, you've got to beat them a few times. So I think that's the frustrating thing for us, is we felt like we were there, we felt like we had the games within reach. So. And I don't think you'll hear our coaching staff say too often there's moral victories in the heat of a season. No pun intended with the weather, of course. But I think that's something that they're going to say, you know, no, we should have won maybe 1 or 2 games there. So it's nice to see the improvements, but it's also one of those things that you would also like to see that in the win column as well. And I think Portland coming up is an excellent opportunity. I think we're bringing a different team against them than we opened the season against them with. You know, there's hitters in our lineup who weren't there in Portland when we played them June 4th through 6th. I mean, for starters, Michael O'Hara. The guy's got four multi-hit games. I think he's only played in like 7 or 8 games for us already. So we have a lot more bats. I think our pitchers have gained a little more confidence. The pitching staff as a whole is in a rough stretch right now. But I think coming back home to pitcher-friendly Paul Thomas Senior Stadium will certainly help.
Yeah, Paul Thomas Senior Stadium is a pitcher's park. Most of you people know that. It's not a bandbox that you see in a lot of the other parks in the WCL. And speaking of pitching staff, you got some good news. From do we have a pitcher of the week?
Yes, we do. Hunter Salinas. He earned a pitcher of the week honors for this past week. Salinas he currently has an ERA. I think it's at 0.56. I know it's under 1, and it's something ridiculous because the guy's tossed 4 outings now. 2 of them starts, in which he hasn't allowed any runs. So that's 11 innings just from his starts. And he's earning it this week because on this past Thursday, he went 6 scoreless against Cowlitz and really helped us get that series win. And then you kind of look for that. This is a team that's not going to be led by its starting pitching because Coach Sanderson has them all at a pitch count. He wants them right around 75. Salinas threw a season-high 76 pitches in 6 innings. So kind of just what the doctor ordered right there, but it was really nice to have that to set the table for the bullpen and get the win.
For those of you who don't know, when they just got back from the road trip, they played their games at ballparks that have field turf, the infield, and that includes the batter's box and what we would call the pitcher's mound, which is normally dirt, is not the case that they just played. Any transitional issues there from playing on natural grass at Paul Thomas Senior Field to playing on artificial turf for the last 6 games?
You know, if anything, it's tough going from the turf back to the grass because the dirt and the grass have a lot of different bounces, as we've seen over the years. At Paul Thomas Senior Stadium, I thought maybe there was 1 or 2 games that could have been better defensively, but you know, Sunday's ball game was our second this season without any errors. So the players looked like they were just right back at home playing on turf, and a lot of them are. A lot of them are used to playing turf in the spring season because of their colleges, but I think it's good for them to learn the dirt because you see more of those fields as they can move up on the ball. And in baseball, we talk about that a lot with summer ball, is it's your next step to a professional career, because in the professionals you're playing every single day at the minor league and then at the major league level. So it's one of those little nuances that maybe they don't like right now, but probably eventually will realize, well, I was coming toward this anyway, one way or another.
And what was the temperature on the field on Sunday in Corvallis?
They had it at 150. That was according to Corvallis.
150. That was on the field. That's one of the drawbacks of the turf. Is it just because they use black recycled tires, the little black pebbles, tiny little things that they use.
Yep.
And it's black, so it soaks in the heat and it can be brutal. But
yeah,
they're back. Speaking of that, the impressive heat this week. A couple of things we need to touch on from a baseball perspective. What is Coach Sanderson doing to prepare the team to play for a record-breaking heat over the next 5 days? We'll talk about the later starting time in just a minute, but from a baseball perspective, what does he need to keep an eye on for this week?
I think the biggest thing he's doing is limiting time on field as much as possible. You know, this means we're not going to be having as long of a batting practice, so to speak. We're not going to be going out there working on defensive drills at 3 in the afternoon, the worst time of the day. I think he's just very cognizant of that. And the nice thing in Corvallis was they had cages that were indoor or were covered, and then on Saturday and Sunday, players were hitting over there instead of on the field, just because you've got to save your energy, especially when you're playing a 6:35 game on Saturday and then Sunday starts at 10:05 a.m. So I think Coach Sanderson did a really nice job conserving their energy, and I'm expecting that a little bit this week as well. It's kind of going to be shorter batting practices overall, less time on the field, just keeping everyone cool, because while there's probably a lot of things he wants to work on, we have to make sure these guys are good to go, because it's a marathon. It's a marathon, not a sprint with a baseball game. You've got to be there for 9 innings, not just a few of those innings. And even if we scored 10 runs early on, in a week like this when the weather's going to be like this, that might not be enough, because the fatigue might really be a factor later on.
That's what I was going to bring it, because it just sucks you out, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, that kind of heat. Well, you mentioned marathons. Yakima Valley and Walla Walla played 16 innings on Sunday night, 5 hours of baseball, something
right
like that.
About. It was funny. I was hopping into bed last night and I went, wow, that just finished up 10 minutes ago. I was expecting to see, because I was checking on how they were doing, and I thought it would have been an hour or so since it had finished. But yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, though, the fans who stuck around probably enjoyed that, though, because it was probably much cooler in Yakima later on in the evening. But well, in a lot of ways, if there's anything that can cool Yakima off, we'll take it, because they're rolling right now. Walla Walla is right behind them, too. You know, the AppleSox are now in 3rd in the North Division, so whatever it takes to maybe fatigue the Pippins as well. We need to make up some ground on them, because we lost a little bit on this road trip.
All the games this week, they have moved the starting time back 1 hour. It's 7:35 first pitch, and that 1 hour can make a significant difference. You got to keep in mind that there are those large pine trees that go down the third base line, so there is some shade for those people who sit on the third base line, but you're also taking care of your patrons in other ways as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're going to do a discount on beverages that we do. A lot of times people get those popular AppleSox Pepsi souvenir cups. Instead of it being a $3.50 refill, it's just $1 for this week for soda, and you can get a free refill with water as well. You know, we want to make sure everyone's staying cool. We understand it's really hot, but we had 5 games on the schedule this week, and we want to try and make them possible. So we want to make sure that everyone's staying hydrated, and we're going to have our guest services workers just kind of monitoring everyone, making sure, hey, can I get you a glass of water if you need it or something? So, we're just encouraging everyone, drink a lot of water during the day. If you're coming out to the ballpark, try to avoid a ton of time in the sun. Like you said, there's a lot of shade at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium, and it only gets larger the more the sun goes down over the course of the evening. Hang out by the pine trees on the left field side. It's a great view of the park and the valley as well. So there's a lot of ways to combat the heat and still enjoy a really fun night at the ballpark.
It is. Nobody's ever played baseball in this kind of heat, but at least these kids are young and they're in shape, and that's gonna. I don't expect the baseball game itself to be not a good product. It'll still be some good baseball.
I think so too, and I think the one thing that might change is you might see pitchers toss a few less pitches potentially, and Coach Sanderson talked about that with me this past weekend. He said with the heat we've got to be smart. Maybe that means pulling a starter an inning before I'd like to, just because I can tell his energy isn't there for another inning. Maybe that's using 1 or 2 more relievers. The bright side is there's 3 games coming up in league play here, Tuesday through Thursday against Portland, all at 7:35. Then you play 2 non-league games. You can kind of relax a little bit since those games don't matter. You can get guys who maybe haven't had a ton of opportunities, more reps then. So in a lot of ways, especially with the off day today, or as we speak on Monday, a lot of time to prepare and have a full bullpen, full pitching staff, and get everyone the rest they need. Maybe, someone's had 4 at-bats for the first 5 innings because the AppleSox have scored 8 runs to that point. Maybe you pinch run for him in the 4th. It's little stuff like that, and I think Sanderson's going to do a really good job keeping an eye on each player and knowing, okay, he looks like he's lagging a little bit. I'm going to get him out of here.
And it should be pointed out that they have to play the games. It's as simple as that. The schedule is set. Yes, it's brutally hot outside, but they can't move the games to 10 a.m. in the morning. Portland's not even going to be in town until later on this afternoon. It just doesn't work that way. So it's just, and there's very little room for makeup games.
And the one thing I would say as well in regards to that, we would move these in a lot of ways we could, but do we want these games in late August when a lot of these players are sent back to school? Exactly. Or do we want them right now? It's a little hot, but we're at full strength. We've got, I believe, 36 players on our roster. You fans have seen it before. We played games in August where it's, maybe 20 or so. Which team do you want to take in the field? Because these are the types of games that are going to determine whether or not we can get into the postseason as well.
Good news regarding tickets. The handcuffs are off.
That's right.
Go. It's all yours.
We're taking them completely off. We've got 100% capacity the rest of the way moving forward. We've kind of left sections A and B as not really like vaccinated, so to speak, but we're still allowing a little bit of distancing in them because we had a lot of fans saying, hey, I kind of liked having a seat or 2 in between me and someone else. So we said, fair enough, especially with the warm weather, we'll give you a little opportunity from a little more spacing. So if you purchase seats in sections A and B, A's right next to the first base dugout, B's right next to it, right down by the netting. When you purchase, say you buy 2 tickets, the seats right next to you are unable to be purchased. So I think it makes for a great opportunity to stay cool, especially this coming week here. I know the sun shines there, but you've got a little bit more breathing room, a little more space to stretch out, put your extra waters over to your right on the empty seat next to you. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm thrilled to have everyone back in this capacity because that means we can have a full house like I was hoping all year for July 3rd, which is really coming up fast here this Saturday. We know it'll be a warm day, but I'm sure it's still going to be a fun night with a fireworks show afterward.
Get your tickets in advance for July 3rd. Just do it because it's. I've been to I don't know how many of the Independence Day fireworks displays at Paul Thomas Senior Field after a baseball game. It's always a packed house, always, every year.
Yeah. We really recommend get your tickets in advance. AppleSox.com/tickets. I'll say it again. AppleSox.com/tickets. It's a lot easier. Get there early. Get in the park. I know it'll be warm. Go get yourself a drink. We're gonna take steps to provide a little more spacing out for people so they can buy food at one place, maybe get drinks somewhere else, so you don't have to deal with the long lines too. And that's the other incentive for getting there early, avoiding the long lines. We know everyone doesn't like those, but it's inevitable when one night you go from maybe 800 fans up to potentially 2,000. So it all just depends year to year on how many people come.
Portland Pickles in 3 league games. Can't stress that enough. These games count. And then they have 2. I'm sorry, who is it?
The Highline Bears.
Highline Bears.
Who are actually looking to change their name. I don't know if you saw about that, Dan.
No.
Yeah, they released something late last week, and they were saying, we're looking to change our team name. So I don't know what to call them this weekend, but I'm going to stick with Bears for now.
Okay. So who is that? I'm sorry, Rich. Who is it that's coming
Portland Pickles Tuesday through Thursday, and then the Highline Bears.
How about the Highline Normans?
We could do that.
Yeah, the Highline
That's a good
Normans.
name.
I like that. You know,
No bias.
I'm all for that. Maybe we'll do a name the new team contest. I can do that as well. Joel Norman is the voice of the Wenatchee AppleSox. I appreciate you taking some time out on this busy day before you get into it. Again, 7:35, not 6:35, first pitch for all 5 games, and that includes on Saturday night for the big, 3rd of July fireworks.
That's right.
Display at Paul Thomas Senior Field. Go AppleSox. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for the air conditioning.
Yeah, no problem, Joel. We'll send you a bill. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
Alrighty.
13 minutes. Nice.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
Green Motion e-bikes have rolled into Wenatchee. We've got fun, affordable e-bikes for the whole family. Portable e-bikes that fit right in the trunk of your car. Fat tire mountain bikes plus unique vintage style bikes you won't find anywhere else. Get some exercise with pedal assist or just cruise up to 20 miles per hour with the throttle. Starting under $1,000, Green Motion e-bikes are affordable fun for the whole family.
Highlander Grill and Golf Course is known as one of the finest wedding venues in the Wenatchee area. You do not have to be a member to come to Highlander. Highlander Golf Course offers a first-class backdrop for your wedding day. Our friendly professional staff will ensure your wedding and reception is picture perfect, from every moment leading up to the I-dos to when the lights go down at the end of your reception. Hi, I'm Shalane, site coordinator for Highlander Grill. Give me a call to schedule your event today.
Hi, I'm Shauna Larson. I'm the designated broker here at Laura Mounter Real Estate. We are a locally owned firm, and we've worked hard to earn our reputation of always doing business the right way. Laura Mounter Real Estate is continually investing in the best technologies and highest quality marketing. For these reasons, our community has voted us the world's best real estate office for the past 5 years. If you have real estate needs, let a Laura Mounter Real Estate agent show you the difference.
We are back sitting at 83 degrees here in downtown Wenatchee. Hold on to your hats, Ephrata. You're already at 96 degrees. This is after Ephrata set a new record yesterday. First of all, the excessive heat warning has been extended now for the second time. Let's show you that. When they first issued the excessive heat warning a couple of days ago, actually it was last Thursday, I believe, is when they first issued it. It was supposed to expire tomorrow. Then they bumped it to Thursday. Now they've bumped it all the way through Sunday evening. Yes, the temperatures will gradually begin to get cooler and cooler, beginning for the most part on Thursday, but we're still going to be in the triple digits right through the holiday weekend. And yesterday was day 4 of our 10-day heat wave, so we're about halfway through this stuff. Those are your records from yesterday. Ephrata, as you see there, set a new record for June 28th, as did OMAC. They were predicting us to get to 113 yesterday. We didn't. We only got to 108 degrees. So when you see the forecast, which is going to come up right now, I don't know if we're going to get to 117. I just don't. My trick knee tells me it's going to be hot. I don't think we're going to get to 117. I'm thinking more like 113, maybe 114. Any way you look at it, if we get to 110 or warmer, that would be an all-time record high, regardless of the year, regardless of the day. It's just plain hot. By the time this thing is over, we will go 9 consecutive days, we think, with our high above 100. The bottom line is, it is hot and will remain hot, just a gradual cool down into the weekend. That's it for us. Be cool, be safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.